My archival object is a conceptual animated video that synthesizes my 10 weeks journey in CBS class. While reflecting on the course, I discover a recurring subconscious theme within my work, the transition from disorder to order through the lens of gravity. Rather than presenting the project as a chronological timeline, I structure it as a triadic mechanical system composed of three interconnected forces: the downward pull, the upward resistance, and a chaotic pivot, representing both physical mechanics and psychological states. CPS for me became a journey into the subconscious. At first, every week felt like scattered fragments drifting in chaos. I kept collecting them, trying to search for some form of order, something complete and peaceful, like a perfect circle. But true order within the human mind doesn't exist as a flawless circle. It takes the shape of a triangle, a structure held together by tension and opposition between three fundamental forces. And when those systems of balance collapse, the fragments separate, exposing the unconscious struggle underneath. The first force is the weight of reality. No matter its shape or weight, every object eventually gives in to gravity. It became a metaphor for how humans confront invisible pressures, responsibility, fear, and the burden of reality itself. Tossing a physical coin requires mechanical effort. It has weight, texture, resistance. Even when thrown upward, it must eventually fall back into the palm of the hand. This made me realize that the disappearance of physical weight in digital spaces can sometimes create a new kind of psychological unease. Under heavy rain, my character looks upward and exhales deeply. The rain is no longer weather. It becomes the metaphor for pressure itself. That sigh marks the moment that a person recognizes the invisible force pressing down on them. In opposition to that pull is the force of resistance. The life circle of Event Lantern became a temporary act of defiance. Lifted by fire, it escaped gravity and reaches a surreal moment of freedom before fading away and returning to the earth. A poetic cycle between desire and inevitably. Humans always long to rise, even while knowing they must eventually fall back into reality. The same resistance appears in the image of a bird flying across the world of a character standing beneath the rain. And the third force is the collapse of orientation itself. My character struggles to climb an unstable rotating hill while being restrained by their own shadow. The spinning spade removes all sense of direction. Gravity no longer pulls straight downward. It becomes chaotic. That instability spreads even into time itself. Just as people often feel that the journey home seems shorter than the journey away, order has finally emerged. But it's not a lifeless perfection of theoretical circle. It's a dynamic balance, a three-side structure strengthened through tension itself. When looking back at the 10-week journey with topics that initially seems disconnected, I realized it was a remarkable shift. Instead of moving through each week in a linear way, the psychological assets of gravity function like an invisible magnet, naturally connecting and shaping those fragments lessons into one coherent and unified whole. This video is not simply a summary of the weekly topics. It is a reflection of how my way of thinking has evolved. The overarching theme that has emerged for me throughout CBS is the profound realization that exploring the external world is ultimately a journey to decode the internal self. By venturing outward to examine space, physical forces, time, objects, etc., I didn't just complete exercise, I accumulated a rich metaphorical vocabulary. When returning to confront my own creative anxieties, I'm no longer trapped by ordinary words. I can now use a single raindrop, the tail of a sloth, or the coarse texture of a shadow to narrate the deepest struggles of the human soul. The most important turning point was Week 9, Forces, which shaped the foundation of my Studio One project, Inner Gravity. Through animation and abstraction, I explore the conflict between physical gravity and psychological instability using black and white contrast, a fixed central anchor point, and the separation between the character's gravity and the shadow's gravity. By rotating the environment and destabilizing the character's sense of grounding, gravity became a psychological trap rather than just a physical force. This way of thinking has become an important foundation for my future creative practice.